Hi there, welcome to the Tour Guides Travel Guides Talking Head sessions. My name is Rich Jones. You can trust me, I'm a professional tour guide. Now today is the 25th of October 2015, St. Crispin's Day. It's also the 600th anniversary of the Battle of Agincourt, Friday the 25th of October 1415. Probably the greatest English military victory over the French during a conflict of the 14th and 15th century known as the 100 Years' War. And that victory also pretty much legitimised Lancastrian rule in England. Okay, so we've got good King Henry V of England, against the alleged insane King Charles VI of France. Now Henry had laid claim to the throne and the crown of France due to direct lineage of his grandfather King Edward III, and he wanted it. And so the military campaign was financed by the City of London, and particularly the Lord Mayor of London, a man called Sir Richard Whittington, known to us Brits as good old Dick Whittington himself, and yes, he did exist. And so Henry set sail to France with his force of approximately 12,000 troops, where he lands, laid siege and seizes the strategic port of Harfleur. After several weeks of conflict, he then moves his weakened and depleted army north up towards the strategic port of Calais. Now en route to Calais, just outside the small fortified town of Agincourt, he runs smack straight into the massive French army. Now estimates have said that Charles's army was somewhere between 4, possibly 6 times as large as Henry's English army. And so the night before battle, the French are already celebrating. To them, it's going to be a foregone conclusion in the morning. It's going to be an absolute rout. Henry instructs his army into silent vigil the night before, and he threatens to cut off the ears of any of those who broke that silence. Now the next morning, it's torrential downpour. In fact, the rain had been pretty much continuous for about 2 weeks. The field of battle was like a swamp. Now the terrain very much favoured the English army, and the French knew this. It was narrow, it was only about 1,000 yards wide. Now a yard, incidentally, was a royal measurement drafted up at the beginning of the 12th century by King Henry I, and the yard was the measurement from the tip of the king's nose to the tip of his outstretched thumb. Nose to thumb, 1 yard. The field was muddy, and it was also lined with dense woods either side, and it actually came down to a bottleneck round in front of the English lines. Now by 11 o'clock in the morning there was still no action from the French camp, so Henry decided to force the issue. He summons his archers to the fore, he protects them with a row of wooden stakes, and then rallies the rest of the army around him and gives possibly the greatest inspirational speak of all time, immortalised by the great William Shakespeare. It goes something like this: "And Crispin, Crispian, shall ne'er go by. From this day to the ending of the world, be we in it, shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile. This day shall gentle his condition, and gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap whiles any speaks that fought with us on St. Crispin's Day. God cry for Harry, England and St. George." Well, actually that last line comes from the Battle of Harfleur, but you get the general idea. Now eventually the French decide to come forward. It's slow progress. They're knee deep in mud. And then King Henry orders his archers to unleash hell. Thousands of armour-piercing arrows raining down onto the French ranks. It is catastrophic for them. Eventually, the French knights arrive at the English lines. They're depleted, demoralised, exhausted. It's absolute slaughter. Thousands are captured, and Henry orders the majority of them executed. Unless, of course, the wealthy ones could provide a decent ransom. And at the end of the day, as had happened in the 2 previous great English victories in France, the Battle of Crécy, 1346, and the Battle of Poitiers, 1356, the French lost the majority of their aristocracy. There have been many theories as to what went wrong for the French on that fateful day. Was it the weather? too heavy armour, the terrain, complacency, or just poor leadership? Well, yes, they all apply. However, one single factor remains, that what really did it for the French at Agincourt was the longbow. These great 6-foot bows made out of yew wood in the hands of expert archers. Now, it has been said that these English and Welsh bowmen were so good they could fire off, even in the heat of battle, somewhere between 12 and 15 arrows per minute. Now, if you consider you've got thousands of archers doing this simultaneously, the effect on the French ranks would have been devastating. Now, I'm going to let you guys into a little secret here. I think we've become friends by now. Okay, now back in England we've got a particularly rude gesture, and it's this: the two-fingered salute. However, its origins do lie back in the 14th and 15th century. And the reason for that is, if the archers, or particularly the long bowmen, were ever captured, the first thing that would happen to them pretty much was they'd have these two fingers cut off, hence rendering them useless to fire their bows. And so, as a taunt to the enemy, and particularly the French, the long bowmen would stick their heads up above the barricades and do this: pluck you, meaning quite simple, get ready, we're just about to pluck our yew bows, and this arrow has got your name on it, my friend. Alright, well, I'm off to the pub now to lift myself a couple of pints of foaming English ale and toast the memory of good King Harry and St George. I might see some of you down there. If not, I hope you've enjoyed that story. Plenty more to come. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Tour Guide's Travel Guide, or you can like and share me on Facebook. I've been Rich Jones, The Tour Guide's Travel Guide. Hope to see you on the next edition of Talking Heads. Happy St Crispin's Day.